Hi, I'm Chris Haigh and this is the Fiddle Channel, and today we're going to do a lesson on Vassar Clements, who is my favourite fiddler. Now, you may be aware that I have a fiddle book, Exploring Country and Bluegrass Fiddle, which you can see over my shoulder. And this has recently been made into another MusicGurus video series. And what I'm going to show you today is one of the lessons from that video series. It's a free sample, and it's packed full of Vassar Clements licks. And these are all pure gold. Once you learn these, then you will be impressing people for the rest of your life with the amazing things that you can come up with. So the video course is 31 lessons. It covers most of the book. It comes with PDF downloads and backing tracks. It costs $39.99 for the whole course. You can get a discount of 20% off this if you join me on Patreon. And that discount is more than you actually pay for a month on Patreon, which I think is pretty good news. So here is the sample lesson on Vassar Clements. I hope you enjoy it. Now we have a couple of lessons dedicated to Vassar Clements. And of all the fiddlers in the world, I think he's my favourite, or was my favourite because he died a while back. Vassar Clements played with Bill Monroe from 1949 to 56. But to be honest, what he did with that band was not particularly outstanding, because basically he was just copying what the other guys had done. He didn't kind of step beyond what was asked of him by Bill Monroe. After leaving Bill Monroe, he went on to play with John Hartford and Norman Blake and Earl Scruggs. But it was in 1972 with the Nitty Gritty Dirt Band on an album called Will the Circle Be Unbroken that he finally released upon the world the amazingness of his fiddle playing. And from there he went on to play in 1975 with a band called Old and in the Way, which included within its lineup Jerry Garcia playing the banjo and also David Grisman on the mandolin. And as I mentioned previously, the first time I heard bluegrass was when I heard Old and in the Way. And it really is a startling development on what had gone before in bluegrass. And everything that Vassar did is startling. He was a completely untrained musician in that he didn't understand any theory whatsoever. But what came from his fingers was just the most dynamic and exciting thing that you will probably ever hear on the fiddle. So I'm going to give you a selection of his favourite licks, which I have religiously learnt and practiced over many years. So we're going to start off with a series of blues licks, because he was a very bluesy player. So over the key of E, over an A major chord, he would play something like, so emphasising the flattened seventh, and then going from a flattened third, sliding up and then down to an A. Let's just hear that with some backing. Okay, here's another lick, again using the seventh and the flattened third. So we got a triplet going from the seventh, and then the flattened third going up to the major third. Let's hear that with the backing. This next one is a very bluesy lick which uses the first and second finger playing a D sharp followed by a E natural but with a second finger. And just hearing that on its own, it sounds very much like it's in A minor, but let's hear it with the A major chords. And the clash between that minor feel and the major feel is one of the important features of this type of playing. Here's another blues lick.
And because we're playing this fast, we want a big long slur. Let's hear that with the chords. Next we're going to look at some what I call dissonant licks, and deliberate dissonance is one of the features of startling bluegrass soloing, and Vassar Clements was certainly the master of this. So we've got an A over a B, which is certainly startling. So if we start off hitting hard those two notes together and then slide them down and up again and give a big wide vibrato at the end, then we get something quite exciting. Let's hear that with the backing. Next we got something that only really works on one chord, and that's an E chord. And we're starting off with a G natural over an A, and we're sliding those down to an A flat and a G flat. And it makes almost no sense to play that over an E chord, but he did it a lot and it sounds great. Now we've done some licks already which are a single note apart, but with the octave between them. So we've done one of those, which is an A with a B. Now we can actually do the same thing, but just one note apart. So if we take a C sharp and with our fourth finger play one note down, then we get this really strange thing, which is a real dissonance. And you can even slide it up and down. Let's hear that played over an A chord. And that's like being disturbed by a railway train suddenly roaring past and hooting its horn. Now we've got a group of licks that I call Vassar symmetric licks, because they do the same thing on different strings with the same fingers. So we've got a lick which you can either do 3-2-2-1 or you can do 4-3-2-1. And we're going to do the same thing on 3 alternate strings. Or so it's a very crazy kind of logic that makes this make sense, because a lot of these notes are way outside the chord. So this will work over anything in C. And this doesn't really work particularly well in different keys, so I generally save that one for the key of C. You can do the same thing with parallel fifths. Again, either using 3-2-2-1 or 4-3-2-1. And finally, a really strange one, which sounds like something from a haunted house. I'm not quite sure what musical sense this makes, but it's again very startling. And this works over the key of C, but that would probably work in different keys as well. Okay, so your assignment for this, first of all, listen to Old and in the Way and be prepared to be amazed. Using the backing track of the A chord, try practicing these licks and making up your own solos. And finally, get really depressed over how startling Vassar Clements was and how you'll never get anywhere near what he played.